better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
bit.
Now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking no more to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. I'm Cap. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, everyone except for my fellow Cavs fans. We're not going to talk about basketball for 90 minutes this morning, but man, oh man, what a blown opportunity by the Cavs. They were up 22 points with like 7.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Maybe the most insane stat I've heard this morning, maybe in a long time, as far as sports go in general, is the Cavs could have simply done nothing but just take the 24-second, the shot clock violation for the remainder of the game, and they would have won. So they could have just dribbled the ball past half court, held on to it, took a shot clock violation, and they wouldn't have blown a 22-point lead. But yeah, they really just heartbreaking loss for the Cavs. I have to imagine too that it just I'm with Steve on this one. I think it's over. I don't know how you come back from that, because just the mental blow and they've been playing a lot of games. The team is wore down and tired, and yeah, bad coaching, horrendous defense, maybe the worst defensive performance in the fourth quarter of a playoff game in a long time, maybe ever. I like Harden. I don't have anything against Harden. I agree with Steve. He's a Hall of Famer, but he's just such a defensive liability. He got torched. You can't. And I know that, giving the Knicks credit, they screened and ran good plays, got in position to have Brunson in isolation against Harden, but I don't know. It was tough to watch. Just as I watched the highlights yesterday from the Spurs game the night prior, and was filled with all of Wemby's gloriness. This morning, all the highlights were Harden getting torched play after play after play. I felt bad for the guy. Joey, I will. I'm not a Harden stan. I was saying I don't know if he can win with the guy in the playoffs because he is such a defensive liability. But I think the guy's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's probably a lock. I'm looking at his career now, and the guy scored like 30,000 points. He's prime Harden was. He still never played good defense, but prime Harden was elite. I know this from my, the DFS grinding days. Like there was, I can't remember the year. But he might have been 18, 19, which is a little past my peak. I'm just trying to see, maybe, I don't know. There was a year where he went on the craziest run I can remember. I want to see. I'm just going to Google it. How many games did Harden score 40 plus in a row? Sorry for the keyboard. I'll get better at this someday. He says his longest streak was 5 games. That's not what I'm thinking of, though. There was a year where I was playing a lot of DFS, and maybe it was he averaged 40 points for like a month and a half, or it was something crazy he was going on. The Google tells me it was just 5 games in a row. He put up 50 against the Lakers, then 47 against the Jazz, 41 against the Thunder, 43 against the Celtics, 44 against the Warriors. That was in 2018, 2019. That's which the only people who've ever done that is Kobe, Michael Jordan, and Allen Iverson. In the last 50 years anyways. But no, I know that same season, he had 32 consecutive games where he scored 30 or more. Maybe that's it. For some reason, I was thinking it was some crazy 40-point outburst. There was a point where it was just like it didn't matter how much his salary was in DFS, you were lock buttoning Harden because you weren't going to win the slate if you didn't have him. He was playing at another level. And the guys, it's not that you did it for a short period of time. Like he started playing in 2009. Granted, it may not be LeBron longevity, but as far as Hall of Famers go, like he's put up, I think very much so a Hall of Fame career. I'm looking, that 2018, 2019 year, that must have been it. He averaged 36 points a game that season. And you look at, the first 3 years in OKC where he wasn't getting full run, it would have been, I'd rather go back and watch that Thunder team with Westbrook and KD and Harden than this current Thunder team. Kind of a shame they didn't keep them together more than just, I don't know how many years they all 3 played together. Might have just been that one. They made the finals. But his points per game, 9, 10, 12, 16, and then 25, 25, 27, 29, 29, 30, 36, 34, 24, 24, 24, 22, 21, 22, 22, 21, 16, 22, 25, 20, 23. Like, he is a prolific scorer. The guy just gets buckets. And, he also, like, many years where he had double-digit assists as well. Like, he's a very good offensive player, Hall of Fame offensive player. He's just such a liability on the defensive side. But I'll give you a chance to rebuttal, Joey, as I go pin the rest of the links. This is Coffee with Captain, by the way. I'm Cap, joined by my sports co-host, my sports card co-host this morning, Joey Vals. Go check out Dad's Attic. Dad's Attic, is that the right name?
Yeah, that's right. Dad's Attic, and obviously Beezy, of course.
Well, of course, Beezy, our friends at Beezy, everyone, I think, well aware, but wanted to give your side hustle a little love as well.
The X profile is OFC, so official, because the word official makes it too long on X. It's OFC Dad's Attic, and then on Instagram it's official Dad's Attic. On eBay it's official Dad's Attic.
Our
website is dadsattic.shop.
You'll know Joey's made it when he goes and acquires the clean Dad's Attic handle here on X. But in all seriousness, I appreciate we got actually a lot of good feedback yesterday on the show. I get a little concerned when we ran for so long on a non-crypto topic, but I sold it. It was okay because we were talking collectibles and the impact it was having on the collectible market. So I think we satisfied the my overlord. By overlord, I mean Payne, and he's also a sports fan. So we get away. We got that one to slide, but we won't go as long on the sports rant today. Appreciate those who are not the sports ball fans tuning in and bearing with us. Also, real quick before I go to Joey here and go share the rest of the links, as always, we are live on X Audio Spaces, our primary platform here, X Video, as well as YouTube and Abstract streaming. I'm going to talk about Abstract here in a bit. Something changed. I don't know if anyone else noticed. I'm back. We may actually go for the next tier in gold, because I went from as I was disappointed in going from about 5K a week in XP down to like double digit, like 32 XP, 62 XP. The week, week prior, I got 25, and then they changed something this most recent week, because yesterday I got 6,200 XP. It's the most I've got in a couple of months. The chart goes back to week 60, where I only had 67, 36, 27, 0, 22, 22, 22, 25, and then boom, 6,200 last week. So I didn't pick up any abstract NFTs, didn't pick up any meme coins other than the very generous Pingu tips that I get from my friend Hans and Katie and everyone else who is generous with those Pingu tips. I just claimed, there's also a badge, by the way. I just claimed the NFT collector badge. The badge is awarded to those who own an NFT from a collection that has over 25 ETH in volume. I just saw that's a flash badge. A couple days left on that, but yeah, if you hold any NFTs that have done volume over there, go get your badge. And yeah, now that I only have 6,300 XP left to get to the next gold. So unless they TGE this week, if nothing changes and I get another 6,200 this week, I will achieve gold level 2, which I had given up on after seeing the big haircut. But we are live on Abstract. I'm going to talk about it more now since they're buying my love with XP, a kid, but kind of serious. And they also did launch a schedule, kind of like what ApeChain did with that Ape ecosystem in their calendar of events. Abstract has one as well for streamers, kind of somewhat curated. And I know they were asking for, who are your favorite streamers? Katie, thank you very much for the nomination. It's interesting. I appreciate the intent and them focusing on streamers a little bit and calling some more attention to it. It's a Luma link, and so I did it once, and I haven't went back because it's a very manual process. There's no way to just set like reoccurring. I basically have to go in and create an event every day, and I probably should do it. I just it's something else I need to add to my my daily task, or I guess I could do it, schedule them in advance, do it weekly or something. But long story short, I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe that's just part of the shift back to focusing on streamers is they're awarding us now with some more XP. So thank you to the Pingu team. I appreciate you listening and hearing the feedback, and good to be back. All that said, Joey, go ahead and counter. Why don't you think? And I'm guessing, so we're gonna keep it on the card collectible focus. So after you answer, why don't you think Harden is a Hall of Famer? I'd be curious your take on James Harden card. Should everyone be dumping their Harden cards after he got torched last night, or do you think just I guess in expanding that beyond Harden, the idea of, we talked a little bit yesterday about cards outside of the absolute icons, outside of Jordan, LeBron, now Wemby, what other, how risky, like, because I know B Epic was talking about someone like Devin Booker and Luka and these stars, but not the greatest stars of their generation. what's just the thoughts on that? Like, I guess second tier of stars, whether it be NBA or NFL, do you have as much, I guess, conviction in the long-term value and appreciation of those types of players like Harden, or are they much riskier? And it's kind of like football. Like, someone say you should only collect quarterbacks because even like your star running back is just not likely to appreciate like the Mahomes or the Brady's might. But yeah, thoughts first of all on why Harden not a Hall of Famer, and then just your overall high level thoughts on, let's say, tier 2 collectibles, tier 2 athletes.
Yeah. So the Harden conversation for me is real simple. Like, I don't believe stats typically equal Hall of Fame unless you're like setting records, right? Like, so if he's the all-time points scorer in NBA history, if he's like, like that type of longevity matters, right? I don't think the NBA has a standard like Major League Baseball does, where like if you hit 500 home runs, you're pretty much a Hall of Famer. I don't think the NBA has established that standard yet of like, oh, if you score 30,000 points, you're automatically a Hall of Famer. I'd have to do the research to see how many people have scored 30,000 points in the NBA and not got into the Hall of Fame.
So that's it. I mean, Riggs gave us, not to step on you here, but Riggs did the research for us in the chat. He shared he is currently he led the league in scoring 3 years in a row. He's top 15 scoring of all time. So to answer your question, only 14 others have scored more points than him in NBA history.
Are they all in the Hall of Fame?
Are arguably one of the greatest guards of all time. He's also top 15 in assists all time, and he led the league in assists once or twice. So you got someone who's top 15 in scoring, top 15 in assists. He is a MVP. He's a 10-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA first team, 3-time scoring champion, 2-time assist leader, and NBA Sixth Man of the Year. About the only thing he hasn't done from a resume standpoint is win a title. But as far as stats go, yeah, it's maybe the top 15 scorers aren't in the Hall of Fame. I'd be surprised.
Oh, actually, he's okay. He's actually number 9 now. So
in scoring, dude, like top 10 in all time in scoring. That's a lot.
All time. It shows him number 9. No, so I would.
It's a lot.
I would at this point, like now that he's about to pass like Wilt Chamberlain, I might be on the team of he deserves the Hall of Fame. But my problem with him is exactly what Riggs shared. He has 1 MVP, no world championships, right? Like I think he's only been to the finals once.
Yep.
And I understand the NBA is a team sport, right? But typically you are judged on those type of achievements, right? So that's my only issue, is because when you look at all the other top point scorers, right? LeBron has championships. Kareem has championships. Malone, he's an exception, right? He was, at the time, he didn't have a championship, but he went multiple times, lost to Michael Jordan, and he was the all-time leader in whatever it was at some point, right? Kobe championships, Durant championships, Jordan championships, Nowitzki championships, Chamberlain championships, Shaquille O'Neal championships, right? Like, I don't believe Carmelo's in the Hall of Fame yet, right?
Good question. I'd have to look, but I guess here's the thing. To answer your earlier question, the only players in Carmelo is in the Hall of Fame. So forget about top 10. If you expand it out to top 15, the only players in the top 15 in scoring history that aren't in the Hall of Fame are active players. It's LeBron, KD, and Harden. Everyone else in the top 15 is in the Hall of Fame.
Russell Westbrook's in the top 15 too.
16 now.
Oh, okay. So this is on ESPN.com. I guess it hasn't updated, or it has. I don't know. But so maybe, okay. So I'm going to say that without having looked where he ranked all time, just from my opinion, with the eye test of 1 MVP, no world championships.
My bad. You are right. Westbrook is 14, who's also still active. The first chart I looked at was NBA and ABA career scoring leaders, but just looking at the NBA, it's same thing. The only ones in the top 10 or top 15 that aren't in the Hall of Fame are active players. So you just basically the same list, add Russell Westbrook to it. Russ is also a Hall of Famer. Although I might change my tune here, because after Russ, number 15 is Hakeem, who's obviously in the Hall of Fame. And then number 16 is another active player who I do not think is a Hall of Famer. I'm curious if anyone, without looking, if anyone can guess who is number 16 in the all-time NBA scoring list. It's not Steph Curry. Steph Curry's number 19. Number 16 is shocking to me, and I don't know how it's happened.
But see, that's my point when it comes to when you're talking about stats, right? Like stats, and I agree that Harden has been a great player. He is a great offensive player. He was the SGA before SGA. I mean, there was games where he'd have 20 to 25 free throws because he would drive the ball and he got fouled, right? Now, he didn't flop. I'm not saying he's the SGA before SGA when it comes to flopping. He was just so aggressive that he would score 40 points and 20 of them would be from the free throw line because he was so aggressive. I agree. He is one of the greatest scorers of our generation, but I don't think it's fair to look at just and say like, oh, well, he scored so many points, because again, he has one MVP. He has no championships. So if we're going from that logic of he's a great point scorer, that person that's number 16 is still young. That person can easily, at number 16, get into the top 10 of points scored all time. So does that make that person a Hall of Famer then? Like there needs to be like a...
I don't know, man. There are also people are also saying that the NBA Hall of Fame is easy to get into, easier than most other sports. I agree with Steve. I'd bet almost any sum of money that he's in the Hall of Fame, I'm just going to quote Steve here. He has 100% chance of making the Hall, I guess, unless he literally kills someone and they have a morality clause. His career, he is a lock for the Hall of Fame.
I mean, that thing Steve showed says Anthony Davis has a 99.8% chance of making the Hall of Fame. Do we really think Anthony Davis has a 99.8% chance of making the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
I mean, what has Anthony Davis done?
I don't know. I'd have to do more research.
But anyways, we could move off the Harden conversation because he is super niche. But your other question was very interesting. And Be Epic made a comment yesterday about like don't buy sports cards, buy Pokemon cards. And it's an interesting debate. And to your point about like, you know, other players and, you know, buying and stuff like that. So sports cards are extremely volatile. The price of cards is dictated by their performance. And not performance like year over year, literally performance week over week, game over game. So as an example, Jack Wilson for the Oakland Athletics had an incredible rookie year. Or Jacob Wilson had a great year. His cards were trending up incredibly. This season, he has struggled. And his cards are going in the opposite direction because now people are like, well, is he the real deal or not? Right? The same about Trae Young. You can buy a Trae Young rookie card for peanuts now compared to when he first got in the league. The Hawks were kind of like looking like they were going to make some moves. You know, so sports cards are extremely volatile because they're directly tied, especially if they're younger players, directly tied to their performance. And do people project that they will continue to play well? Now, somebody like Harden, he's never been very collectible because he's never been like the guy. You know, if we're talking about generic rookie cards versus like short prints and autos and things like that, that's a different conversation, right? Because almost anybody's card numbered to 5 is going to do well. But it's even like Kevin Durant is a great example. If you look at what you would have paid for a Kevin Durant card when he was on the Warriors and they were winning championships, to what a Kevin Durant card is worth now that he's been on, you know, how many different teams since the Warriors, barely sniffed the playoffs, can't win a playoff series. Like, his cards are going in the opposite direction, even though he's pretty much a lock for the Hall of Fame. So sports cards are very, very connected to the NFT, like what we talk about in the NFT market, right? It's like, sell the news, buy the whatever. I can't remember what you always say, Cap. But it's tough. You're better off sometimes betting on rookies than buying like a vet who's in the middle of their career and you're not sure which way they're going to go. Ant-Man's another example, right? Like his cards are not going in the direction that people hoped they would because he's not winning. And, same in the NFL. Like right now, if you own anything Jackson Dart, I would sell. And this is not financial advice, but if you own anything Jackson Dart, you should be selling. His market is so high right now. He played half a season for the Giants. We have no idea what type of quarterback he could come out. Even Cam Scatterboo's another one. That dude could come out and get a concussion game 2 because he slams his head into somebody's locker after a game. Like these guys that are not proven and just like burst on the scene. I think
an example
early, yes, but like I don't know how anybody is holding a Jackson Dart long term when you could easily sell those things for like multiple X profit.
Well, the most recent example for what you're talking about with Dart would be Jaden Daniels. The peak probably, again, maybe he goes on and has a Hall of Fame career, but thus far, I'm guessing the peak, without even looking, I'm guessing the peak on Jaden Daniels was following his rookie season where he had a breakout year, led the team to the NFC Championship game, right. and then got hurt very early in year 2. So now people are re-questioning, which was a concern coming into the league. Is he going to be fragile? Can his frame sustain the NFL? And so I think like the TLDR on sports cards
CJ Stroud is a great example too.
Yeah, I think also a great rookie year. I think the TLDR on sports cards is you want to just similar to stocks, similar to crypto. You want to sell rips and buy dips and or buy younger players who the verdict is still out on how good they become. When a player is rookie or younger breakout, the upside is seemingly almost limitless. Like they could become the one of the greatest all time. Very few are ever going to enter that realm. And now there are exceptions. I saw someone down bad because they sold a Wemby draft card a couple years ago. I saw someone down bad because the same thing with Ohtani. These cards, these players had their first glimpse of stardom. Cards shot up, and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to sell high before someone gets hurt, or they don't have that kind of career. And then when it ends up becoming one of those generational stars, then that's what you're swinging for. But I think it's if you're, and to I think your point and some others, people joking in the chat that Mewtwo is the Wemby of Pokemon, and how many Pokemon tourneys did Charmander win? He's the third best Pokemon, and he's no Squirtle. Like the thing with the collectibles that are not sports cards is you don't have injury risk. You don't have the risk of their career falling off a cliff. And I think you got maybe a safer floor on those players or less risk. On the flip side, I'm curious, how do you find the diamonds in the rough? If you're not just ripping packs, whether it's Pokemon or One Piece or any of these other collectibles, you could rip a pack and hope you hit a Grail. But if you're not ripping packs or doing a claw machine chasing Grails, how do you identify, okay, this is the next character that's going to have a huge come up in One Piece or Pokemon? And I guess in Pokemon's case, it's probably already decided.
They don't really launch new characters though, right? So what you're looking at is.
So it's just is the IP as a whole going to go up, right? Is there any way to, like, if you were to speculate, what is the next Pokemon character to appreciate in value faster than, just Pokemon as a whole. How do you even do that? Like, they are what they are, right?
Well, they look at the upcoming. So, like, for example, there's a new set coming out called Chaos Rising for Pokemon, and typically what they're looking at is what are the promos, what are the short prints, what are the holos, what are the SIRs, right? Like, they're looking at and they're looking at, are these there's a lot of reprints nowadays too. So, like, are these collections going to get reprinted? And that's why a lot of people are with modern Pokemon. A lot of people are baffled by the prices of some of the modern Pokemon cards because there are so many. The pop count is so high. So it's like, I sell, right? Like, it's kind of the same with sports, right? Like, the safest bets in Pokemon. Now, One Piece is different. It's only been around a few years, but the safest bets in Pokemon are buying cards that are, pre, 2010, 2015, the older cards, or buying stuff from collections like the 25th anniversary collection. This year's the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. So even though they're going to be modern cards, if they launch a 30th anniversary collection like they did for the 25th anniversary, those cards are going to be highly collectible. Just like in sports, like buying a Michael Jordan, no matter what it is, a PSA 8, a PSA 9, a Beckett 9, like no matter what it is, a Jordan's never going to go down, right? And that's kind of the same for the older Pokemon cards. They're just not going to go down, especially if they're already graded. Now, if they're raw, it's different. Like, how do you handle it? Is it in good condition? All those things. It's tough when it comes to sports. Like, baseball is one of the easiest sports to hit it big in, because baseball every year releases their Bowman collection, which is it's basically a collection full of all prospects, all minor leaguers, first year guys, and you get tons of autos. So there's a lot of people out there that will just buy up all of these. Like, I've got a whole row of random ass baseball player autos that are in the minor leagues. People will buy those up for $1, $2, $5. They'll buy them all up and they'll sit on them. And in baseball, typically age 27 is when you hit your baseball maturity. So, like, in fantasy baseball, you're always like, who's turning 27 this year, because they're about to, like, hit their stride. So you're collecting all of these young guys that are 20 to 22 years old, 23 years old, that have never made it to the major leagues. You're paying $1, $2, $5 for their autos, and then you're sitting on them for 5 years, hoping it becomes Aaron Judge, hoping it becomes Paul Skeens, hoping. So, like, that's one of the sports where you can take a lot of really, really inexpensive bets. The NBA is different. These guys get drafted at 19 and they're in the starting lineup. So you don't have a lot of, like, really cheap bets you can make in the NBA, because those guys, they're going right in. The NFL also too. Most guys that get drafted in the NFL that you would want to collect, the first and second rounders, like, who the stars are. Now, could you take a flyer on a Puka Nacua, right? Like, you think he was drafted in, like, the 5th or 6th round? Could you get lucky sometimes and go, you know what? I really think Puka Nacua is going to be an incredible NFL wide receiver. His cards are $1 because he was drafted in the 6th round. Yes.
Yeah, yes, but
it's
extremely rare, because for every 5th or 6th or 7th rounder that hits like a Puka Nacua or Brock Purdy, you're going to have quite literally hundreds of ones who are out of the league in a couple of years. Many of them won't even make a roster. Like, it's very, very speculative. And, and I say this as someone who's way too deep in the NFL streets and have way too much knowledge on players like Ted Hurst and Bryce Lance and players that may never do anything in the NFL, but those are cards like, could I speculate on they might hit? Yeah, but it's with the understanding that it's much more likely that the cards are 0 and they don't make it out. So it got me. I've never really had this thought on, like, how do you speculate on specific collectible, Pokemon, One Piece, etc. That's not like, do I know a Charizard is a Grail? Sure, but how do I find the next Charizard? And I guess the answer is you can't really. at least not in the ones that exist today. It almost makes me think like, okay, what the next Pokemon, the next One Piece, it'd be interesting. Like, it'd be cool if, like, what if Pokemon introduced new characters? Like, could they introduce a new character that becomes like a Grail? Like, and that's something that, and I guess then maybe like, they have to introduce multiple. Like, they introduce next year, here's 5 new Pokemon characters, and one of the 5 becomes the Grail that everyone wants to collect. I've never really had this conscious thought before where, while they're similar in the sense of collectible cards, and I have had the injury risk concern before, but it's more I haven't thought about on the flip side, on the Pokemon, One Piece, etc. How do you speculate on which specific characters could have a big come up and appreciate significantly in value? You can't.
You really can't, because like Phonics said, there's always new characters coming, but the popular characters are the popular characters. Like, with One Piece,
I wonder, is this why maybe pack ripping has become so popular in recent years? Because of the growth in the non-sports cards in the collectible arena. And, unless you're, most people aren't going out there and buying, a Gem Mint Charizard, an OG Charizard. Most people just, aren't speculating on the high end, the ones that are already Grails. So the only way to get a Grail without paying top dollar for it is rip packs. I wonder if does that make any sense? Is this maybe what's driven the popularity of pack rips?
But what's funny is the chances of you, like, so for example, I just bought a OP13 booster box last night for our business. We're trying to decide, it's a $600 booster box. We're trying to decide whether we believe that if we sit on it for a year, that booster box goes from 600 to well over 1,500. We're trying to decide, do we sit on it for a year, not take it to shows, not try to sell it, right? Nothing like that. Sit on it, wait, and then sell it. Or do we open it and hope to hit 1, 2, or 3 of like the top chase cards, which if we grade them could be worth $5,000, $10,000, $12,000. But the chances of hitting those cards are very small. So in the grand scheme of things, if you think about it, the amount of money you're going to spend chasing and this is why breaking, like Whatnot and stuff like that, has gotten so massive. The chances of you going out, number one, being able to find these products at retail, because we've already talked about the scalping and all that stuff like that. So number one, going out and trying to find these products at retail is hard. Number two, what you have to buy. So in sports, you could buy a case and you're guaranteed a case hit in that case. But you don't know what that case hit is. Is that case hit a Tet McMillan, or is that case hit a Cam Ward, or is it a Tom Brady? You don't know. But when it comes to Pokemon and One Piece, there's no guarantee that you're going to hit a quote unquote case hit. So you go out, you're spending thousands of dollars opening boxes, you're ripping packs, hoping to hit a chase card, a top card that you then hope you grade. When you grade, it comes back as a PSA 10 or a Beckett 10 or a black label, when honestly, you could have just went out, probably bought the one card you wanted raw for maybe the same, maybe a little less, maybe a little more than what you spent, and then go grade it, or even just buy a graded version of it. But this is why the Whatnot streamers have gotten so popular. I mean, I go on Whatnot and I buy into random streams all the time. Like you do like a team break, for an example, and they're opening up, a whole case of, let's say, 2024 NFL. It's like 30 boxes. You're paying $50 or more, maybe more, like $100 to have a team. So you pay $100, you get a team, it's random, and let's say you're lucky enough to get like the Bears, so that you're hoping to hit a Caleb Williams. So you pay $100 to get into this break, you buy a few teams, and then you're hoping that in those 30 boxes, you hit a big card for the teams that you've bought. That's way less. Now, you could end up with nothing, right? You could end up with a bunch of base cards and you don't make your money back. But this is why that that style of breaking has gotten so popular is people can get into these cases for far less than buying a whole case themselves and get lucky and hit a big card. So you're either a gambler or you're like an investor / collector. If you're a gambler, you're going out, you're buying boxes in retail or buying cases, you're ripping them yourself, and you're looking to hit something, that's worth some money, that's worth grading, etc. Or you're an investor / collector and you're going out and buying exactly what you want, whether that's a single or a slab, because you don't want a bunch of bulk cards taking up your whole house because they're not worth anything.
So hearing Pokemon does introduce new characters every few years. The classics will be the classics, but there's also many amazing new characters that are people's favorites. Be Epic or Red Rod Reviews said that they are introducing 12, or they'll be introducing new IP that'll take them up to 1,200 characters. I had no idea there was that many Pokemon characters. Risk said it started with only 150. So then my question was, okay, who is the Wimby of Pokemon? Who is the next up and coming like star of that IP, of that ecosystem? And haven't got any great answers yet. I mean, Phonics said, kind of none really, kind of low effort. Haven't seen any really traction. He did say, this is great. I don't know. He may be making these names up just to get me to mispronounce something here, but he says like Reshiram, Lucario, or Gardevoir.
Lucario.
So Lucario or Gardevoir, maybe semi-newer Pokemon that are gaining a following. This is going to be an ignorant question.
I mean, but that's the thing, though. People have to so with the value, all these new characters and these new cards, they're only worth something if people decide they're worth something and pump them, right? Gardevoir is not a very valuable character, but if all of a sudden some people get together and man, we really love Gardevoir, let's start buying up all the Gardevoirs we can. And we saw this with Be Epic. Remind me the name of the Pokemon. We saw this last year where this guy just decided that he was going to buy up all of the original base cards for the specific Pokemon, and he drove the price up from $5 a card to $100 a card because he just started buying all of them up. And all of a sudden people were like, well, shit, I guess we should start buying them too, because now there's gonna be a supply shock, right? So people have to decide that they want to start buying this character in order for the price to move. Whereas with
I guess my other question, I agree with that, and I did see the one Kabuto.
Kabuto, that's the one.
So even I was aware of that one. I guess what I'm thinking though is not just someone trying to, and I want to say it's manipulating the floor price of the play, but controlling supply. Known tactic and can work. I guess so is more of from an IP standpoint. Yeah, Kabuto King. That's exactly it. Was Kabuto new? When did Phonics or Dobbins?
No, he's not. He's old.
An OG.
He's an old character that this guy just decided I'm gonna buy up all the Kabutos because for whatever reason, and it just he made the market send, right? So again,
so more than that though, more than supply control or cornering a market and that driving it up. My thinking is more on the series itself. Might they introduce a new character in, or the Pokemon Horizons? I guess it is. Now I didn't realize. I don't know the difference between Pokemon the series and Pokemon Horizons. The series follows Lyco, a girl from Padilla region with a mysterious pendant, and Roy, boy from basically them introducing a new hero that gains mass life. That's what I'm looking for, right? Maybe I don't know, Lyco, was she a new character? Is that something we could get ahead on? Kind of front run is the next series, and I don't know what the cadence is of Pokemon series, how many episodes. I'm completely in the dark. I'm just finding out there's been 28 seasons, and so that originally followed Ash. I was aware of that, and then joined by his Pokemon partner Pikachu and a rotating cast of human characters. starting with the 26th season, new cast is featured centering on protagonists Liko and Roy. So should we be buying Liko and Roy? This is, I guess we lost Joey, but as I get Joey back up here, I think I failed to mention the yesterday or day before, I see Steve out there, his ape jumps out of the audience when I see that sexy spinner hat ape out there. But I pinned it up top. Go give Steve's love because apes don't roll as deep as they used to. I kid. His post got 9,000 views, 326 likes, and 100 comments as he bought a new matching doggo and returned to Monkey with his old new PFP. Love to see it, and looking rather dapper, if I do say so. But Joey, this is my question: like, should we be buying Liko and Roy, who are the new protagonist in this 26th season? And that's kind of what I'm thinking of. Is now, I guess similar to injury risk, Pokemon could choose to, I don't know, kill off a character if they do that, or maybe not kill off because that might make the cards more valuable, but just them not becoming a featured character and no one really cares about it. But that's like the signal I'd be looking for is, are you seeing a groundswell of support and fandom around a new character, and can you get ahead of that before they become the next Pikachu, the next Charizard, the next Ash? And are Ash cards even valuable? Are they popular, or is it just the monsters? I'm learning in real time with you. Also, apologies if I'm asking ignorant questions, but
no, they're not. It's not an ignorant question. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're looking for an investment, something to hold long term, would it be bad to go out and buy some new characters at $1, $2, $5? Probably not, right? Like, I mean, again, I did this with Dylan Harper. I bought a lot of Dylan Harper inserts, base rookie cards, because I believed that Dylan Harper, playing with Wemby, had a chance to have a big career and lots of wins and all this stuff like that. So same example here. If there's if you don't want to buy the already established Pokemon, the higher end stuff, the stuff that is more like, and people might crucify me with this, but like fine art, right? Like stuff like stored value type stuff, right? And you want to go after something, could you do worse by buying 20 cards of a new Pokemon character at $2 a piece? Yeah, you could do a lot worse than spending $40 on that, hoping that now you got to grade them, right? So there's expense there, but maybe you don't grade them until you start to see the market take off for that character, right? I would say it's a lot harder in Pokemon to find like the next Aaron Judge, the next Shohei Ohtani, the next, Cam Ward or Jackson Dart than it is in sports. Like you're much better off going after the characters and cards that have a history of popularity than trying to. Now, there are people that are just fans, right? Like they like a specific character, like a Cubone, right? They just go out and they buy Cubones all the time, and that's fine. But it's a lot harder in the Pokemon world to do this than in sports. I mean, the NBA started to do this with their Bowman collection, where like right now the Bowman collection came out, and it's college male and female players with NBA players mixed in, and you could pull a Darren Peterson, you can pull an AJ DeBonsta, right? Like you can pull, I don't know who the top female college players are now, but at the time you could have pulled a Caitlin Clark when she was a senior. And so like they are doing this in the NBA. They're starting to do this in the NFL as well. They're calling them these are called like NIL cards, because now that they could actually put
that's interesting. Players, I hadn't thought about this. This is the first time thinking about like how NIL could change the sports card game, because not only can they use player and likeness and probably the college as well, but the players can get compensated from that.
Correct. Before when you would pull a college card, there would be no school and like they would they would removed the logo of the school and all that stuff, like, because you couldn't do that stuff. But now with NIL, there's NIL inserts. Like, you could pull a Jeremiah Love Notre Dame card, and so you can do some chasing of younger guys from NFL and NBA, but typically most of that like pre-star chasing again happens in baseball because the minor league system is so massive. There's so many players, and you could acquire these cards for $1, like little autos, like first Bowman autos, which is essentially like their first card ever printed for dollars. And like a Leo DeVries, who's the number 2 prospect in baseball in the Padres system, you can still right now go acquire. Like, I just acquired a card this weekend of his. It's a short print insert. It was $100, and it's a PSA 10. I think the second ranked prospect in baseball. He gets called up and starts to play well. That card's going to 5x.
Yeah, for sure. And I think some of those, like, you can look at it as as soon as he gets called up, it probably could 2x. If he hits a home run as in debut, it could 5x. And then you make the decision: do I want to take my short term game, or do I think this player could become a star for the next decade and hold on to it? I also think we haven't talked about this in a while, but just like we talked about in NFTs, like we used to buy triples or 5-packs, something where you could it runs up, it 5x's in price. You can sell one to essentially free roll the rest you're holding. You sell another one a little bit later as it's going up and take some nice gain. Then you hold one for the long term or one to vault. I think if you're taking swings on a minor league baseball player where you can pick up his card for $1 to $10, my suggestion, and I'm not doing this, but if I were to start collecting minor league baseball players and I say, oh, this person might have some upside, I want to go collect it. I'm not going to, don't just buy one card, because then you have to make the decision. Do I want to sell this now that it just 5x'd, or do I think that could be a real star? Buy 3, 4, 5 of them, so you can you can have your cake and eat it too. You can take your gains.
This is why people, NBA Top Shot, onboarded so many people into the NBA, into the NFT space. Like, think about all the things you're talking about with collecting cards and the relation to NFTs. This is why this space is so full of this. There's this massive crossover between everything you're talking about.
I just got introduced. Appreciate B Epic and Bagel join us on stage. We'll get to both of you here in a second. Before I do, I just got introduced to a new Pokemon I was not familiar with, but courtesy of our guy Phonics, he says Piplup is a good example of a newer Pokemon doing well. Piplup, I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna share the screen. What does this remind you of? What does Piplup remind you of?
A pudgy penguin.
This looks like a pudgy penguin. Yeah, it looks like it was inspired by pudgy penguin. Be Epic, we're gonna go to you next since you're rocking that sexy pudgy penguin. I know you're a collector. Am I way off here thinking Piplup is eerily reminiscent of a pudgy penguin?
I don't have the photo in front of me. Unfortunately, I'm driving, but Piplup is an OG. He's got some team up cards with Blastoise, who is one of the top maybe 3 to 5 Pokemon. But I was going to mention that I'm hearing rumblings that there's going to be a new evolution coming out later this year, which will send all evolutions. But whatever card that is, I don't think it will really matter. But that if you can get something like that, that would be a card that in the short term will have some real expansive growth. And then there are cards like there are cards where Pikachu isn't the main guy or Gengar, but they're on the card. They're in the background. Cards like that have already sent. But if you can find a card that maybe hasn't taken off, where those characters are shown in the art in the background, they have a lot of potential as well.
Those cards are fun. Like, you can, if you look close at a lot of Pokemon cards, you can find like other Pokemon. Like, somebody found a card where there was like a Rayquaza in the top right corner of the card. And meanwhile, people had known about this for a while, but they posted like, "Oh my God, I just realized there's a Rayquaza in the top right corner of this card." And it's pretty cool how they do that. Sometimes they hide other characters. And what some people don't know too is they'll make cards that actually connect together. So they're like they're cards that if you collect the two of them and you put them side by side or above and below, or you put four of them together, they create like a full art picture. And there's value in collecting those and then sequentially grading them as a set.
Piplup is coded, be epic. Piplup is also not so pudgy penguin. It's a fit penguin. If anything, Pudgy copied Piplup. How about that? That's the rumor I'm going to start today. Is Pudgy penguin is a derivative of Piplup. You heard it here first. It's a joke. It's a joke. But the first thing I thought was like, oh, that looks like a small Pudgy penguin. Looks like it's the first little Pudgy, just not so pudgy.
Some pudgies go to the gym, right? So maybe that's post gym.
Yeah, this is the biggest insult to Piplup. I like the more I think about it. I think Cool Therium. He probably sent a picture of Piplup to his Fiverr designer and said, "Hey, make a 10,000 collection of these. Just make them fat." Hey kid, again, it's a joke. This is all bit. I'm not taking shots at Cool or Pudgy Penguin. We do have a question. I see we got our guest in the green room. Appreciate you, gentlemen. We'll do a market update here in a minute, and then we will segue into the next topic of the day. But we do have a question for Joey. We'll ask both Joey and Be Epic, and then Bagel if you want to get in on answer on this as well. But Mikey DLS says, Joey, do you think vintage 1999 base and 1996 Japanese holo in PSA 7 and 8 is still a good play in the long term? I think PSA 7 and 8 look great. And maybe broaden that beyond just, vintage 99 and 96 Japanese holos. The idea of a PSA 7 and 8 compared to a PSA 10, like how important is, and maybe that changes across different collections. Maybe Mikey's right here. And I know like older cards, like a Mickey Mantle, you're not going to find a PSA 10, but I wonder about, let's say from modern era, from we'll say 95 forward, how much should you be considering looking at things other than a PSA 10 or PSA 9? Can you make a play on PSA 7 and 8, probably on these cards that are 20 years old, give or take?
Well, yeah, the older cards. Remember, like back then, like we didn't think that this is what the market would become. So like we didn't immediately penny sleeve and top load these cards. So a lot of those cards were played with, right? And they're not in a PSA 10 condition. Now, whether or not it's worth buying at a PSA 7 depends on the character. Is it shadowless? Is it first edition? There's a lot of factors that weigh into it. Like, will the value go up on a PSA 7 like it will on a PSA 9 or 10? Probably not. Like it'll go up, but not at the same rate. When it comes to like more modern stuff, a lot of the times people that get PSA 8s and 7s, they crack those and then just sell them as raw singles because they're just not worth it. Like you can get more for a raw single than you can for a PSA 8 in some of the modern stuff. But for vintage, again, it really just depends on the character. I mean, like I would own a PSA 5 Charizard, but like those things still sell for, I think last time I checked, a PSA 5 in the base set was like a $10,000 plus card, right? So again, it really depends on the character, the type, again, is it holo? Is it shadowless? Is it base? Is it first edition? All that stuff. Like, is it Japanese? Is it English? Right? Like there's a lot of factors that weigh into it. But for modern, like there's no point of owning a PSA 7 or 8. You might as well crack that thing and sell it raw for modern stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think like the TLDR to wrap this all up is that's kind of what I was looking for. If I want to speculate on non-sports cards, I understand how and where and why I should be speculating on a sports card. But if I want to speculate on Pokemon or One Piece, how do I do that other than just ripping packs? And this approach, whether it's maybe buying raw and getting like there's a little bit, not quite as much as the minor league baseball player who comes up and is the next Ohtani, but you're finding some upside there, finding some some way other than just the collection, the IP appreciating as a whole. How can you find some of these diamonds in the rough, so to speak? And yeah, a buzzed bee who's judging me for not knowing Piplup, that's fair. But your Pudgy might be the closest match to Piplup in the whole collection. Very color schemes look the same. Just spot on. So maybe that's why you picked your Pudgy, as it did look so like the OG Piplup. But I'm learning every day. I'm learning. This is the year 2026. I'm learning far more about Pokemon than I ever imagined, beyond just how to pronounce. Well, I say how to pronounce. I'm still wrong on 50% of the ones I even do get right. But before we move on, before we pivot, we do have a lot of news. There's a big tease from Project X. There is a potential cash drop from Hyperliquid, which continues to melt faces, and more. A lot to get into in addition to our special guest here behind the green screen. But I did mention to Bagel that we would let him get in there on that question, or whatever initially brought you up on stage today. Feel free to take it whichever direction you like. GM Bagel, appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, man, of course. Thanks for letting me up again. Yeah, I mean, another good topic. First of all, go Knicks. Let's go. That was an amazing game. I'm so happy about it. Yeah, facts. Let's go. But I had to weigh in on the Pokemon, the cards topic, because Pokemon is near and dear to me. And some of the things you guys were mentioning, and I was kind of laughing a little bit because, you were mentioning like, oh, this is a newer Pokemon. Well, Piplup is 19 years old. He's been around for a very long time. And believe it or not, as much as you can speculate on the outside regarding the value of some of these Pokemon in the cards, it's highly relative to the IP from a movie, TV show, and also mostly video game standpoint. And like, it's actually not hard to predict, or you just straight up know which cards or just which Pokemon are going to run in value. Because if you play the games, and I don't really play them as much anymore. I just don't have as much time, but I spent my whole childhood playing them. I still do play them, but it's much more casually. It's not that hard to tell which Pokemon are really going to run based on how much the IP really elevates them. So like with Lucario, another Pokemon that's the same generation as Piplup, that's Gen 4. They both came out in 07. It was pretty easy to tell that Lucario was going to run based on his functionality in the game, right? He was very strong, very powerful, knew some very cool, unique new attacks.
Okay.
And so it was really easy to tell like what was that he was going to be popular. And Pokemon doesn't just kill characters. Like they generally, if a Pokemon is running, they force feed it to the audience over the course of years. And they literally just don't stop. I mean, we saw this happen with Greninja as well. So the more you know about the IP from like the video game standpoint, the easier it's going to be to speculate the value of certain Pokemon. And then also just being plugged in with like the community in terms of like which Pokemon are aesthetically pleasing. Like Piplup was gaining a lot of traction, Gardevoir, for reasons I'm not going to say on stage. Pretty easy to tell that one was going to run too. So those were more so just kind of like fan choices and whatnot. But when it comes to like knowing the value of Pokemon like Lucario, you just have to understand its place in the IP, and you're not and not just the card game specifically, because the value is determined outside of the card game for the most part.
Totally makes sense. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thanks for sharing. And I think even hearing that, maybe like, might you find a new protagonist in this animated series, someone that they're going to put a lot of that they're going to highlight over the next several years? Sure. And the other, and maybe even more, plus EV to speculate on is the video game. If there's a new character introduced in the video game and they're OP and you're like, this is, they've got some special skill, or it's the character everyone wants to play with, or I think that could be when they launch a new game, if there's a new character there that everyone wants to go play with, or become such a hero in the game, likely you could deduce that they're probably going to also feature said character in the series, and like you said, push them for years to come. Speaking of not killing off characters, I mentioned that in passing, and Payne's like, what is this, Game of Thrones? They're not killing Pokemon characters. Honeybee, go ahead, get in here real quick, and then we will move on.
Yeah. I just came in to kind of tap in a little on the Pokemon, because funny enough, I actually play Pokemon VGC. If you guys don't know, it's like the video game championship. And I've been doing that since I was little. And I used to like pay my rent when I was in college, literally playing.
So I am curious. I'm going to mute my video just and step away out, but I'll be able to hear your response from the other phone. I'm curious. Can you explain the game? Because I mean, I know they've got games, but how is that different than the other games? Like, what do you say?
So the card game is TGC, right? And that's the collectible stuff. And then the VGC, like the video game, is a strategy turn-based like battle, like 2-on-2, right? And then you bring in you have your team of 6, and you come in and you battle with 4, and it's 2 versus 2, and that's like the official league. Like if you're playing, they have a new one that just came out called Pokemon Champions, and that's like the official new league, and that's when they have their world championship and everything. That's like the biggest league, and you can play that online. And the thing is, for people who like, if you actually want to like understand the meta or like what professional Pokemon players they're doing, like I would just look up Pokemon Champions VGC, and they literally have stats, right? So you can see what Pokemon are trending, what Pokemon are meta, and you can see what's like maybe not popular yet, but is like doing well. And you see how like people kind of trade accordingly to that, right? Because they see that IP, they see that Pokemon coming, rising up. So that's like another thing that people don't, if you're not in that world, maybe you don't know about it, but it's like something else to think about.
Wouldn't be, and as someone who doesn't play the games, right? I'm just strictly collector, investor. The cards that are necessarily, or the characters that are necessarily being used to win tournaments aren't necessarily the cards that hold value, though, correct? Like, because it's also about the popularity of the characters.
You get both, right? Like you have one side where it's like IP, like for example, like Pikachu or Charizard, for example, aren't always in meta or like used in decks or even in Pokemon VGC, but people know them, right? They're very popular. But then on the other end, there are cards that are like OP and they're meta, so everyone's like, I want those, right? There's demand for those cards. Can they help you win tournaments?
But those are single. But that you're talking about like buying singles, right, to complete your set for a tournament versus buying something that's graded as a collector / investor.
I mean, both. You can think about it because there's also people that buy like the Kabuto dude, right? Like he bought all the fucking Kabutos, and some people buy up the supply of a popular card that's meta, and they're like, yeah, let me own fucking 50% of this shit. And then you're like, well, I need that card for my deck.
You're talking about Kabuto King, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean,
he
did that not even necessarily to just corner the market. He's literally just an enthusiast for Kabuto, the aesthetic. So there is a like kind of a point where like a discrepancy between like the meta and then aesthetically pleasing Pokemon. And one of the reasons why Charizard is just always so popular is because from day one within the show, he was very, very important, and he was elevated to a role of importance. So there is a balance of like the meta bringing the value of certain Pokemon up, as well as the aesthetics that are kind of like fan created. And like you're never gonna be as early as you should to getting certain cards if you genuinely don't like actually play these games, because you might be early to the market, you might notice it in the market, like some of the movement, you might notice, okay, like this card, this Pokemon's running, but you're never gonna actually be as early as you should if you don't actually play. Because like I was literally a child playing Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. That's the one that that's Gen 4, that's Piplup and Lucario, 2 Pokemon that were previously mentioned here in this conversation. And I'm literally a child, and I knew Lucario. I knew, I was like, this Pokemon is gonna run, the value is gonna be supreme, they are gonna force feed it down the throats of every Pokemon fan for the rest of time. And that has not changed. They continue to elevate Lucario and do cool things around his IP. So if you're playing the game, like if you're actually like plugged into the IP, you are going to be first to pretty much everything, because you're going to know right away what is going to run.
Really, I mean, I really enjoyed the conversation. I want to thank Bagel and Be Epic and Honeybee and Joey for adding to it, because I'm not even joking. Like this is exactly what I was looking for. Like I thought, like there's got to be a way. I'm not in the market. I'm not going to go buy a Charizard. I would like to speculate on this a little bit. I think might the top be in, maybe, but it's not going away. Like Pokemon's not going to zero. People aren't going to stop caring about it. And so if I don't want to go buy a Charizard or Blastoise or a Pikachu from that's several $1,000s, I said it as a joke, but I genuinely want to identify who is the Wimby of Pokemon. Who is the next Wimby of Pokemon?
we don't really know yet because we haven't gotten that many Pokemon from the upcoming generation. It's Gen 10, Wind and Wave. We don't really know much about who is going to be in that game yet. So it's very hard to tell. But you're probably going to know either. It depends on how much they release in upcoming trailers. Like, that is going to tell a lot of the story. But if they keep everything close to the vest, you're not going to know until the game comes out. Everybody who starts playing the game is going to, within day one of the game being released, like, okay, what is going to be the next Wembenyama? And the reason why it's a lot easier for you guys to speculate in sports, and look, I'm the same way. I'm a sports junkie, especially a baseball junkie. So when I heard you guys talking about the minor league cards, I'm huge on that. I follow the MLB pipeline like addictively. So for me, there's a lot less speculation when it comes to the value of certain prospects, not because I get every prospect right, but just because I watch a lot of these guys all the way down to the college level, sometimes even high school if they're like really, really superstar. I mean, you can follow these players for that long. And you guys are just more plugged into that. Like, it's not like an actual IP because it's sports, but it translates to the IP for Pokemon. Like, you know, if you had the same level of understanding of Pokemon as an IP, the same way you have an understanding of certain levels of sports, the conversation would sound a little more congruent. Like, you would have a much easier understanding of like the value of these cards and how and why they run. And to be completely honest, it's too early to tell who is going to be the Wemby. You just got to wait for more trailers and more leaks to come out, and that is going to do all the talking. So you just got to be plugged into that. You'll know.
The other part too is you also have to be careful with announcements when it comes to reprints, right? Like, Pokemon has been, you know, a set comes out. Like, we talk about the AP Swatch thing, right? Where it was like people all thought this was going to be some type of limited release, and then they were like, oh no, this is not going to be limited. You're going to be able to buy them all the time. This happens with Pokemon too, right? Like, a set comes out and a new drop comes out and everybody buys it up, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're going to print a lot more of it now, and a lot more and a lot more and a lot more. And then it's like it devalues those cards because there's so many of them in the market as compared to the older sets where they're not printing those anymore. Like, there's a reason why 151 and Prismatic Evolutions and like these certain sets, the value of the sealed product just continues to go up and up and up because they're not printing them anymore, and there are very desirable characters in those sets versus the modern stuff that they kind of print into the ground.
Yep. Big, I saw you off mute if you want to get back in here for a quick one, and then our guests have been super patient. I want to, we got to get them in here before, so one last thought on this, and maybe we'll I'm going to ask them the Pokemon question to right off the jump, so maybe we continue it, but I do want to bring them in here momentarily, so go ahead if you've got a quick one, go ahead and get back in here, and then we will keep the conversation moving. Good. Okay. I guess, like, to sum it all up, that is, Zane says it here, you know, this is true. You can't be a serious Pokemon investor if you don't play the games. That's where it all starts. That's the real alpha. It's also the best way to enjoy Pokemon Worlds. And Gen 10 comes out next year. They've only really revealed 3 starters so far. And this is exactly it, is while we may not know yet who are going to be the next stars, who are going to be the next featured characters, there is ways to find alpha. And what I took out of this whole conversation is probably the best way to find alpha, who might be the next runner in the Pokemon world, is playing the games and following, you know, those forums, and not just play the game yourself, but what are other players, who are they playing with? What characters seem overpowered? What, and who might be, you know, like Bagel said, like, okay, they played with this character. I can't remember the name already, but he was certain this is going to be someone, you know, a character that's going to be featured.
Luke Vario, yeah.
Luke Vario is going to be featured for the next, you know, decade plus in Pokemon. And I think if you can identify one of those up and coming, you know, character breakouts early, the benefit over the sports collectibles is there's no injury risk. Like, if you could identify this is a star in the game, it's going to be featured in the series, this is going to be a character they're going to push for the next decade plus, it's I don't want to say it's guaranteed that they appreciate in value, but seems pretty safe to say that now, you know, the
very safe. Yes, very, very safe. If you know, you just know.
Yeah, the collection could fall off, or the collection could dip. You know, the top of, you know, the market could come down, and just overall people aren't paying as much. You know, the top could be in, so to speak. But relative to an entry level floor character to the Charizards of the world, this new star is going to close the gap, and it's almost inevitable if you can identify who that next featured character and featured IP is going to be. So that's exactly what I was looking for. How can we speculate as opposed to just doing pack rips and grail chasing? And you all collectively answered the question very well. Thank you so much for the education. All that being said, without further ado, I do want to bring in our next guests who know a thing or two about collectibles themselves and see their thoughts. We'll ask more questions than just this, but I do want to get their thoughts on Pokemon and who they think might be the Wimby of Pokemon. This is Inside the Vault, brought to you by Unvault.
Yo, inside the vault, put royalties back on chain. Enforcement went optional, we bringing it back again. Freeze it at the source, then you move it with ease. Claim it where you land, one live, no duplicate keys. No rappers, no doubles, identity stays intact. Clean ownership trail, royalties paid, that's a fact. No, one live, no duplicate keys.
All right, we got Aaron and Ernest joining us both today. Looking forward to the conversation. Zane says Charizard will never be canceled. Man, it might be cool if they did. It might be cool if they add some lore into the animated series that he does something morally corrupt, and collectively the world just decides to cancel Charizard.
Did you see his posts from the late 2000s? I mean, it's only a matter of people rediscovering that, and he is going to be canceled hardcore.
Bringing out Charizard
is going to go cold.
Those tweets from 2012. That's a really bad look. They should probably delete that. In all seriousness, though, Aaron, I know you are quite beyond NFTs. You've been collecting many years. I mean, many years, by like 3 or 4 since you're still in your early 20s. But
no, I've been collecting since I've been 3 or 4. I'm 51, and I have many of the things from when I was a kid. I am a collector at heart. It's one of the reasons I got into NFTs. And for the people who are watching, I'll give you a little tiny tour of my office. Okay,
that's what I wanted to see.
All the magic and Unvault happens. Okay, there's half of my comic book collection in a china cabinet. I've got about 15 to 20,000 comics. There's the other half, plus long boxes and stuff.
Before you keep going, what's your Grail comic? What's your prized? Which one are you vaulted? You're never going to sell it. It's your personal Grail comic in your collection.
Gosh. Well, I'll tell you what. For me, it's a lot more about sentimentality than it is about actual value. Like when I was a high schooler, I got sick for like a month. I don't even know what it was. I was really into comics. My dad went out and he bought the entire run of Howard the Duck, right? And
Howard the Duck, that is a throwback. I don't know. Speaking of getting canceled, next episode, Charizard, we're hearing this is a leak from the news scripts. Charizard might get canceled as he gets caught at a strip club and lose all his sponsorships. I joke. But speaking of that, I don't know. I'm guessing Howard the Duck would not be socially acceptable today. I'm guessing that Howard the Duck would probably be canceled if released.
More popular. He is probably just as popular now.
Really?
He had a huge run in the 70s, and then the movie came out and killed him.
I had no idea Howard the Duck was. I thought that Howard the Duck was introduced with the movie. I didn't realize he predated the movie, which was, I remember the movie in the mid 80s.
Right. Howard the Duck was a parody of Donald Duck, which is ironic since now Disney owns Howard the Duck. There were lawsuits and all kinds of things, but they brought him into the Marvel universe, and yeah, he's a cigar chomping, woman chasing.
I'm also shocked to realize that Howard the Duck was rated PG. I would have assumed it was PG-13, if not R. Like, if you would have maybe guessed, I might have guessed it was rated R. Maybe my memory of Howard the Duck is way off, because I remember Howard the Duck being really crude and like I said, may not be acceptable in today's world.
No. In fact, James Gunn brought him back. James Gunn, now the head of DC, the DC studios, doing the films, etc. He brought him back in Guardians of the Galaxy, and James Gunn's nerd knowledge runs very, very, very deep, almost as deep as mine, and brought back Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck since then has had, gosh, I think they were going to do an animated series, but I think they canceled it. But he has shown up in What If on Marvel, and now the collectability for things like that don't necessarily match. Although in the comic book world, you definitely look for first appearances or important appearances of characters or stories, and those tend to rise in value, but not necessarily to a crazy amount. And of course, it matters if it's graded or not. My Grails are sentimental. I mean, do I have some that are worth? I don't have any. I don't have any crazy comics. I've got a reader copy of Iron Man 1. I've got an okay copy of Captain America 100, which is the first modern solo Captain America book after his original run in the early 1940s. Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Punisher. Omega Man #3, the first appearance of Lobo, who's going to be, he's been a huge character within fandom, but I think after Supergirl, this summer he's going to be huge. But I was going to comic book conventions in the mid 80s where it was literally like me, my dad, and a bunch of other weirdos in a motel, right? Like in a little. And now you have Comic-Con and you've got the San Diego. Well, you've got Comic-Con. You've got, what's the one in New York called again? It's I can't remember, but huge events, huge media coverage, billion-dollar industry. And like I see people wearing Marvel DC merch that used to make fun of me, the kind of person, because I was wearing Marvel DC merch and Star Wars merch, and now these are the kind of people that walk around with their stylized version of it. So everything, not everything, but like a lot of collectible worlds come back, right? They ebb and they flow. Like we're talking about Pokemon cards, the sports cards, but the collectors out there know that there were years of dead zones, where things dramatically dropped in value. I mean, after the whole steroid issue in baseball, cards kind of died for a while. Comic books were killed off in large part due to the collector craze in the 90s. I mean, I've got 50 copies of The Death of Superman. I've got 100 copies of the Jim Lee X-Men #1, and foil cover and glow in the dark cover. And it kind of killed off the industry because everybody was speculating and they weren't necessarily caring about what they were buying. And it took, the movies coming back. It took the movies actually taking off for people to really start coming back and sort of care about this IP again, where Marvel almost went bankrupt. It's one of the reasons why Sony puts out Spider-Man films and Universal has the rights to Hulk, etc., because Marvel almost went bankrupt and they sold off whatever they could to just keep afloat.
I know we were talking about Master of the Universe and He-Man last week, Aaron. I'm guessing
my shrine.
I don't know if we saw the shrine.
There you go.
Oh wow.
That's some of that is from when I was a kid. Some of it's just me going back and buying on eBay.
I'm guessing that those collectibles have probably already ran a little bit with knowing that the movie is coming out this year.
Yeah, there are times where one of my hobbies is to hunt for action figures on various sites, and certainly depending on what you're going for, what condition they're in, are they loose, are they in the box, is the box mint, etc. Like, same thing with Pokemon cards. I'm sure if you have a Charizard that looks like Charizard actually lit it on fire, it's going to be less valuable than if you have a graded protected 9.9. So it really depends on what's going on.
Why I ask, it makes me wonder, like, okay, because you bring up a great point of like collectibles and IP kind of goes in and out. It's like what was popular can be unpopular and then popular again. Often, especially in the IP world, it's with a remake of the movie, with bringing it back into mainstream. So I wonder, what is the next great older IP like Masters Universe that people aren't necessarily talking about yet? Is there something on like the 2027 roadmap that we know is coming, but those in the world of collectibles haven't already started buying up and front running the big movie release? Anything come to mind?
Mask. That's
what Mask. Jim Carrey's Mask.
No. M.A.S.K. So there is all right. There's a creator, Robert Kirkman. And have you ever heard of Robert Kirkman?
Sounds familiar, but I couldn't tell you what they've done.
He created Walking Dead.
Okay.
So the Walking Dead comics, and then had a big part in the Walking Dead series, which obviously blew up. Created Invincible. And now you've got the Invincible animated series. You've got Invincible Verse, which is the game coming out. Anyway, he launched a comic book. I don't know how many years ago now, 5 years, 6 years, maybe it's less than that, called Void Rivals, right? And Void Rivals was, everybody should check it out. I'm going to ruin Void Rivals for you just a little bit, but you can't not have it ruined right now. But when it came out, it was just like, oh, Robert Kirkman has a new IP that he's working on, brand new, original Void Rivals. It's two aliens from two different worlds. They're supposed to hate each other. They get marooned on some foreign planet, etc. And you go through, I don't know, 6, 7 issues. If you're a huge Void Rivals fan, please don't at me. Right? I may have the info a little bit off, but all of a sudden, at the end, the cliffhanger, the last panel of one of the comics, they find this junked thing, and it is, I don't remember the exact, well, it's a transformer, like Transformers, more than meets the eye, right? It's a transformer, and everybody loses their mind because they're like, "What the fuck, Transformers?" Right? And so this is the beginning of the Energon, I think I'm saying that right, Energon to G universe, and they bring in Transformers, and all of a sudden it's a Transformers IP that they looped in, except now, I don't know how many months or a year later, they bring in G.I. Joe. And they bring in the whole G.I. Joe franchise, and now they're interacting with Transformers and Void Rivals, and they've just brought on, I don't know if it's exactly their third IP, I don't know if they've brought in anything else, but do you remember the cartoon Mask at all?
I didn't remember at all, but I'm now, to your point, and it's weird because it was like 1985. It was kind of similar time frame as Donald the Duck, or I mean Howard the Duck, and Master Universe. All that. Commodore, there was a Commodore 64 game, which that's really throwing it back. But to your point, I just like the Wikipedia page here talks about 2026 to present is, Skybound Entertainment officially introduced Mask into the Energon universe, which debuted in the G.I. Joe story, as you mentioned, and the 25 special. And then Miles Mayhem debuted in Transformers. And then in February of this year, Skybound's Robert Kirkman officially announced Mask ongoing series.
So that, I think that catalog of comics and collectibles, because it was one of those action figure, cartoon series, which most of them were, which was okay, we're going to, I mean, that's what He-Man was, and Masters of the Universe, and G.I. Joe, and although G.I. Joe existed back in the I guess the 60s, it's the larger figures, but Mask, and I'm not a huge Mask guy. Like I have a peripheral knowledge of Mask, but if you're asking, it's big. They in fact, G.I. Joe just had a Kickstarter to reprint the second half of the original run of comics, and it raised, I want to say it raised $2.5 million in about a month. Yeah, Robert Kirkman is the GOAT. And his storytelling is amazing. I also love Mike Mignola, etc. But if we're talking about collectibles, Mask is a sleeper because a lot of people don't even know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I'm bringing up here is that we are talking about Pokemon and collectibles, which I love, by the way. I mean, I just showed you my office. There's my 1977 R2D2 that my mom gave me is right in front of me, the remote controlled one. I have my here, I'll show you one more thing. I have my old Star Wars carrying cases up as art on my wall. Right? I mean, we find ways of using things that were sentimental to us. But my point is that collectibles come, collectibles go in terms of different IPs and different even industries, right? Well, that's us right now. That's NFTs. Now we don't have a huge 30-year history of insane loyalty because we grew up, watching the cartoon or playing the video games. But I mean, Generation Alpha, who calls us the 19s because we were born in the 1900s, okay? Generation Alpha has grown up on this shit. They've grown up on digital collectibles, and they don't have a problem with NFTs or digital collectibles at all. They've grown up on YouTube and TikTok and Fortnite and Minecraft, etc. And there's a mass market of people who are going to be old enough to have their own discretionary money, in addition to, all of us, that are going to seek out historical NFTs. They're going to seek out new drops of historical IP for themselves, based on the IP that's new to them now. And it's going to be our industry. I mean, shit, look at V1 Punks and the run that they're on, right? And you couldn't give away a V1 Punk. I mean, you could for about an ETH, but people were like, nah. Ernest and I have always talked about how V1 Punks were the more interesting of the punks, as they are the true historical, provable first version of the punks, which is why they're called V1. You never know what's going to come back. And that's why this is shopping season here in NFT land. Like, the meme, and I apologize to Ernest because we started talking about collectibles and I just can't stop. But the meme where it's like, hey, Bored Apes at 4 ETH, and there's like nobody in line. Bored Apes at 10 ETH, everybody's in line. Yep. Right? Be the person who's in the other line right now, buying up things that you love because nobody gives a shit about them now, but you like them, and there's a chance that they're going to come back. And and it's all speculative, obviously, but don't count NFTs out.
First of all, Doomers says, I'm so glad to hear someone talking about Mask. I had a bunch of them as a kid, and every time I mention it, no one has any clue what I'm talking about. I think this could be real alpha. Like, hey, is there a chance this series is a flop and no one talks about it? Yeah, sure. But there's also a chance it takes off. It's a hit series. They make several seasons of it. And to your point, I feel as collectibles are in a very different spot today than they were even a handful of years ago. And I could see, if it does take off, those original Mask toys and figurines, like, I don't know if they have cards or not, but I can see that stuff being, rapidly appreciated in value if it hits, because there's this, I'm sure we're not the only ones thinking, okay, what's the next collectible to capture attention? What's the next Pokemon? What's the next One Piece? Not just who are the next characters in those IPs, but what's gonna be a big hit next and capture the collectible market or the collectors. And maybe Mask is one that was not on my radar. Somehow, if I was aware of it, I've completely forgotten about it. But because it has that history, does have a base, at least two individuals, and yourself and Doomers here, that that were fans of the series, that's the sort of stuff I think if collectibles continue to run like they are, what aren't we thinking about yet? What aren't the masses thinking about that has some history that could take off? I think this is checks those boxes for sure.
Well, NFTs. So I mean, NFTs. That's right. Like you can look at some floors and go, well, that's too rich for my blood, and certainly people have different means, but there are so many collections out there that are one weird thing away from the floor popping and people caring about the collection again, whether it's new ownership or hey, maybe it's them coming on Vault and finding new distribution on 8 different blockchains, and all of a sudden the collection pops because now we have 10 times the collecting audience, where before nobody was paying attention. Now everybody is, but the supply isn't enough for everybody coming in. Ernest,
GM Ernest. We kept Ernest on ice for like a half hour, and then we do bring you both on, and Aaron kept him on ice for another half hour. But appreciate
that's
your
all right.
Like Captain America until Avengers #4. Yes, see, I'm a nerd. Sorry, Ernest, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
No, that's it. That was the whole thing. That Captain America was on ice. That's how they brought him back.
Well, you guys go deep with collectibles. Let me tell you.
Are you? I know you don't have quite the collectible collection as Aaron. Were you into Pokemon at all?
I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was in military school at the time. We didn't have Pokemons back then.
You said side duck. They took soap bars and put them into crap out of you.
We made all kinds of fun. Let me tell you. No, I wasn't into Pokemons. It wasn't my gig. I'm heavy into NFTs. Everybody knows.
Were you into collectibles prior to NFTs?
Some things. I mean, some rodeo related collectibles. I have the belt buckles from what was that? The Cowboy Way. If you're familiar with that movie, the belt buckles were kind of key to that storyline, and I have those belt buckles I picked up off of eBay 10, 15 years ago.
That's right. You're asking the man if he's into collectibles. He is the #1 holder of Ape Chain NFTs.
There's
the
that.
Man has made up for not being collectibles as a child. He has made up for it and puts all of us to shame.
Yeah. If I had never bought Ape Chain NFTs, I could have a house about now with that money. But yeah, I mean, there's that. I have several Bored Apes. I almost got rid of one of my Bored Apes last week. I had a pretty good offer on it and decided to not. But yeah, I mean, I'm into NFTs right now, and that's key to what we're doing at Unvault. The NFTs need to make a comeback, or they will make a comeback. Royalties enforcement is important for NFTs because that's how the creators make their money. Go back to 2021. That was how creators made their money off of NFTs, and then they had to pivot when the exchanges decided they weren't going to enforce royalties anymore. And in my opinion, tortiously interfered with the contractual relations between the holder and the collection itself. But yeah,
I think
we're trying.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'll go ahead.
In all seriousness, we're talking about the cycles that IP goes through, and Pokemon, while it's been around since the 90s, and yes, there was that collectible element to it. It was, at least in the beginning, wasn't near what it is today, not even remotely close. And for a while, it did go up and then went down a lot. Same thing with sports cards. I think, and I'm not the first one saying this, but if you view the collectible market, which some are pegging it anywhere from 500, a significant, like NFTs are I don't know, $2 billion market cap. I think it was, I saw Luca have a take on this, and I've seen a few others. I'll see if I can find an article. but just the overall collectible market is so much higher than the entirety of NFTs today. And NFTs aren't going anywhere. I think that has been evident by whether you want to talk about V1 punks or simply the fact that apes and pudgies and punks are all still trading for tens of thousands of dollars. Are they down from all-time highs? Yeah, sure. But what collectible didn't have a precipitous drop from all-time highs?
That's my point.
It's the nature of collectibles.
Can you imagine, one of the reasons why a lot of these markets popped is because people loved them. Like when comic books came out, kids loved them, but they didn't think about them as collectibles. And most of them got fucked up. And then they went to college or they left home and their parents threw them out. Right. And so there was a scarcity. And plus it was an emotional attachment like, oh my God, I love those things. And my parents threw them out. Let me try to reclaim them. Right. And then there's a huge scarcity. Can you imagine if like you left home for a vacation and your spouse or your partner burned all your NFTs?
So
I think it happens every day when people lose their keys to their wallets.
I think we're going to experience the same thing as you just described with those collectibles. Instead of our parents throwing away our baseball cards, it's going to be people realizing, fast forward a decade and punks are $1 million, apes are 6 figures again. And like, oh, I had one of those things. And they go back and they can't find their wallet. They can't find their keys. Like that's the equivalent of your parents throwing out your card collection. Is people will have wallets they collected in 21 and these all went to zero. And maybe it's not apes and punks, but rather, I don't know. They had
bulls on the block.
Yeah, they had 100 bulls on the block. They had 100 dead fellas and think, oh, these are like, I don't need it. I'm just going to move on with my life. Those things. It was there's a guy who sold his ape and swept the subducts floor. All those subducts are zero. They're not worth anything. And eventually the collection sells and they partner with Unvault and they're protecting royalties. Now all of a sudden it's got a 1E floor and those 100 subducts are now valuable. People are going to freak out. Like, oh my gosh, I got to go find my wallet. I go find my keys and they're going to be lost.
Yeah. And we're living in the, like, it's one thing to read about the history of ups and downs with collectibles. It's a very different thing to be living it. Right. And to have bought things because you love them or you speculated or whatever, and to be holding on to them during a downtime. Right. And I believe that we are in, and I want to be kind here, we are in one of the most, let me say, confusing points of digital asset, I don't want to say collectability, but life ever, where we have platforms that have decided to cut the legs off of major revenue streams for all these collections so that they could have major revenue streams. And they say this with no irony. Oh, we couldn't give you back your revenue stream because it would cut into our revenue stream. Like it's, and then, but the craziest thing is then everyone listening goes, oh yeah, right. No, that's true. Okay, how can we partner with these guys? Like, everybody, wake up. Like, and I'm talking to the founders now. You are allowing entities to sell your artistic work, creative work, your blood, sweat, and tears for no royalties, which you definitely said, hey, I want these royalties. They're in your contract. And the middlemen who are selling them have said, no, sorry, we're not going to do it. It's going to hurt our bottom line. And that's bad enough. The worst part is that most founders go, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. And Ernest and I are here to help y'all. And it's going to help the founders, but also the collectors put a stop to that. It's ridiculous. People talk about it now with confidence as if, well, that's just the way it is. Well, look, we have to find we have to launch 17 collections. We have to find other ways of because the guys that are selling our stuff, they won't pay us. Can you imagine if that happened in any other industry where you're supposed to be paid, but the grocery store says, Kellogg, we can't pay you anymore. It's going to cut into our bottom line. We're just going to sell your stuff and not buy it. from you. It wouldn't happen. And I think people listening to me are going, yeah, but because you've come in maybe in the middle of this cycle where things are upside down, we're through the looking glass. And I am here trying to wake everybody up, me and Ernest, going, there's no way it's supposed to be like this. It's not morally reprehensible to want royalties. It is not a bad thing to charge for a mint. It is not a bad thing to expect to be paid for your work, whether you're an artist or a founder or whoever. These are all okay. These are okay things. And the founders have to get together and start to demand that this is not okay anymore. And I've been happy to see some people on the timeline, my friend Frosty's, for instance, talking about how royalties are important. About a month ago, Frosty's was talking about how he didn't like royalties, and he's clarified, I don't like anything over 5%, but if the collection, says that's what it is, he'll respect it, and I respect him for that, right? And we need everybody else. It can't just be us small guys or medium-sized guys who are taking a principled stand. We also need the creators to come on board with us and protect their own IP and protect their own revenue streams, which in turn will help the market, will help their floor, will help everything. So we can be speculators and we can be collectors. We can love the game and the trade, and we can love the actual art and the collectibles and the emotional attachment. But we all have to come together and agree that the industry needs saving from a select big few that are kind of fucking everybody's royalty streams and major revenue. And please at me on the timeline. I love discussing royalties with people. I'm not even being facetious here, but there's no way that this continues. And so I'm talking to the founders. Stop it. There's a better way. You don't have to have Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
That said, and Aaron will pump the royalties, and that's totally a valid point. But there are other ways to monetize for collections as well, and we're going to have some of those on the Unvault website. The licensed physicals for small NFT collections that can't afford to go and get them, or when they go and get them, a T-shirt ends up $200. We're going to make that more reasonable because we have negotiating power across multiple projects, and we'll have that ability on the website to order your NFT of some sort if they're officially licensed through the site, and you order a T-shirt, a hat, some fresh kicks, a rug from Sobe. There are all sorts of things we'll have there.
Awesome. I agree. The founders need to get on board. And I know there was this meeting recently in Miami that at the Igloo headquarters. And I guess the word was productive meeting. And there was, I think, over a dozen people there that contributed.
One of us was there.
Oh, yeah.
I was there.
So would you agree? I mean, productive meeting, do you feel so? I guess, first of all, I got more thoughts, but that's my first question. Was productive meeting, do you think anything came out of it that might actually help push the space forward?
It was a really good meeting. I can't speak specifically about anything anybody said. We all agreed. But the meeting was great. Luca is smart cookie. Some of the stuff he brought up was just, it was very interesting. Focusing on things other than royalties. There was a lot of building that they're doing at Pudgy that a lot of collections could learn about.
Interesting. So
wait, but you're diminishing, and I'm walking a tightrope here because I know that you all agree not to talk about it. I'm your partner. I'm under NDA, right? Yep. But you're diminishing the role of the royalty conversation. You're kind of brushing it off as if, well, we all agree there are other revenue streams. There was like a bomb thrown in that meeting, and people can infer what I'm talking about since I'm talking about the same thing passionately. But it's not as if people were just like, yeah, royalties, yeah, no. Like it was there was a contentious, respectful conversation about a thing we're talking about, because we've gone so far down the road of, well, royalties just aren't done, that people believe it now. And that doesn't have to be the reality of the case.
I wasn't there, and you guys haven't shared anything with me, so I can speak freely and speculate. I think that most will come around. Now, when, how quickly, I don't know that, but I do think many will come around to royalties are a benefit, a net positive for NFTs, and all should protect them. I don't know as if, I know there was like some toss out of like an industry association or some sort of a formalized alliance that gets everyone meeting like that on a regular basis. I don't even like, could that help? Maybe. I don't know as if any sort of formal alliance or even a regular meeting like that is necessary for this to happen, at least as it relates to royalties. Might there be other things that come out of something like that? Sure. But I think as it relates to royalties, it's the tech exists today. You guys have built are there multiple ways to get to that point to protect royalties? Yeah, sure. I think what you're building is a very light lift from a technical standpoint for those that may not want to put in the time, effort, or resources to move to a new royalty protected contract. You're making it easy
for them. Yeah. I mean, not for us, but for them. Yes.
I think that it's royalties are one of those things that doesn't need some sort of consortium or a monthly meeting of founders. It's rather once a few handful of leaders get on board, I think that it's more almost like a social contract. Like royalties existed in 21 and people paid it and most people didn't bat an eye. Now, did some people complain, oh, that's 10%, that's too high? Yeah, sure. But at the highest level, royalties, it was what it was. It was just an accepted part of NFTs. And most people like myself talk positively about it. There was artists and other creators and builders that came into the space because of the idea of ongoing royalties. And I think it's one of these things where I don't think it takes some sort of formalized, recurring meeting or consortium or act of Congress to bring royalties back to where they were. I think it's leaders like yourself that are pushing it forward, that are passionate about it, and then a few leaders taking on, taking this stance that, yeah, we're doing this. And I think most of the space is on board. I think the sentiment I feel is like, are there some traders and speculators and flippers that never want to pay royalties? Sure, they're always going to exist. I believe it's the minority of the active participants, not the majority.
People have not minded paying the equivalent of a royalty to the OTC desk, the Grails desk, for Yuga. I mean, they're charging a percentage for doing it. You could call it whatever you want to, a finder's fee, OTC, whatever, but nobody seems to mind there. And it's funny because you said, well, we're developing the technology to accept royalties. You said, the technology exists. Cap, the platforms had to build technology to ignore royalties. Like royalties are built into the contracts, right? I mean, they built into the contracts in terms of we want this percentage of a royalty. And yes, the platforms, agreed to it, and then they stopped agreeing to it. We're agreeing to it 100%, no matter what. Like we're going to give people royalties that don't even want them. The people that are on the people that are like, I don't think we're going. Yeah, okay, then give it to charity. Do whatever you want.
No. Then we'll give them the opportunity to give it back to the holders through the divot. I mean, certainly, if they don't want royalties, then collect the royalty and give it back to the holders that have done the things in the ecosystem you want them to do. Don't list, participate, those things, and we'll give those royalties back to the holders through the divot.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
But I do think it's going to take founders saying we're not okay with this anymore, and we're going to make that a hell of a lot easier for people since we are going to be a royalty platform. Like if you have a collection that has a royalty suggested in the contract, we are going to honor it. Whether it was you or whether it was 6 founders ago that put it in there, we're going to honor it.
I do have a couple questions from the chat, and I realize we're already running up against 10 o'clock here. Time is flying. We're talking about collectibles all morning. And a couple other headlines I'll fly over. We won't do the deep dive today, but I will at least reference the headlines and maybe link some links if anyone wants to dive deeper. But we all, at least those of us here on the stream, agree that royalties are a net positive and should be enforced, and Unvault's providing an easy way for teams to do that. And royalties can do a lot for the collection in addition to just driving revenue, ongoing revenue for the team, for the project. I don't know if we've talked yet, or I've asked the question, as far as Unvault goes, how is Unvault generating revenue? What's the business model? Is there a marketplace fee on transactions that take place on Unvault? I know when you shared it originally, I don't know if this is public or maybe subject to change, but like the onboarding fee, I thought seemed, quite frankly, ridiculously low because of the upside that these teams could generate in future royalties. But I'm curious, can you speak to that? What is the business? How does Unvault make money as the new marketplace launches and you help these teams move to royalty protected contracts?
Unvault makes money in 3 different ways. Unvault makes money in marketplace fees. We'll have a 2% marketplace fee. Potentially, we'll have a lower marketplace fee for the unvaulted contracts, the contracts that come to us and want to unvault. We'll have a lower marketplace.
Sorry, we will have not. It's 2%. Whatever it is going to be lower than OpenSea.
Yes.
When you come and buy and list,
marketplace fees will be lower than OpenSea. There's no doubt.
It'll be lower than OpenSea, and for some collections, like Gunnar said, it will be lower. And for some collections, during certain periods, it'll be free. Sorry, Ernest, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll have that 2%, 1%, or maybe free. We will have those marketplace fees. Then on the other side, the protocol fees are either 1 or 2%, depending on which plan the collection decides. And what the protocol fee is, it's a fee built into the Echo contracts. So you have an ETH project and you want to go to 6 different chains. Those 6 different contracts on those 6 different chains is what we call an Echo contract. And those contracts have a protocol fee built in. They're 721C limit break contracts. So the royalties will be enforced no matter what exchange they're on. And our protocol fee will be enforced there as well.
And just so people understand, because I've had this question from founders, the protocol fee, which is basically a royalty for us for making the contracts, making the tech, etc., and it's been quite a journey to do these things. It does not affect the royalty of the collection, right? So if the collection has like a 3% royalty, then they might have a 4% in total, and the seller pays that. It's not coming out of the collection at all. And so it's also one of the reasons why, on certain collections, we are happy to lower the marketplace fees because, it's still happening. So Ernest said 3 things.
I did. And then there's a unvault fee. So when you move an NFT from one chain to the other, there's an unvault fee roughly equivalent to 69 cents US.
Very, very nominal. And that's, I assume, the holder is paying that 69-cent fee?
Yeah. Whoever's moving their NFT from one chain to the other. I say moving, that means they vault it on the one chain and they unvault it on the destination chain.
Yeah, yes. There was a question on that. It said, how does that work? And so basically, it's essentially you're not burning or destroying the original NFT. It's just going into a vault that's basically locked up, and then you've got this Echo but you can still have it interact with it on the original chain, and then any of these other chains, essentially like a carbon copy of it.
Yeah, think about it like this: I own Ape 2960. So if Bored Ape Yacht Club unvaulted, then I would own 2960 across every chain that we service. Which Solana and the major EVMs. Okay, and more to come. So how does that work? Really? With Robinhood on the way, EVM, yeah. And how does that work? As Ernest said, I would vault my if it's on ETH, I'll vault my ETH. It's an escrow contract. Nobody can touch it except for me, right? Nobody can touch it except for the owner. Nobody else can do anything with it, right? And then I'll unvault it on, let's say, Solana, because there's some crazy airdrop where if I have an ape on there, I'm going to get 10 grand in kooky coins or something. So now I just have the instance 2960 on Solana. All the rest of them are frozen. It's a little bit different than Shadows, where terrifyingly you have the shadows in your wallet. And I love Yuga, but seeing those shadows, I'm like, is that a real thing? Is that a fake thing? What happens if I move it? So that's basically how it's done. It's a lock and unlock, lock on one, unlock on the other. But that also means that when the collections migrate from an old 721 to a 721C, the original assets are not burned. They are still available. They can be locked, but they are still available to the to the holder. So again, let's take you guys as an example. If they came to us and they said, "Hey, we want to go to a 721C, migrate," say, "Great." All the originals are still available for the holders. We're not burning them, so the provenance stays forever.
Love it. Gentlemen, appreciate your time as always. Enjoyed the conversation. Any I know big month in the world of Unvault. I know Quit working on the final audits and crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. You do have your space tomorrow. I pinned that up top. If anyone wants to continue the conversation or has more questions, these guys are accessible. You can DM the Unvault account. You can reach out to Aaron or Ernest directly. They will get back to you, or jump into that space and learn more. That space is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I should know this by now, but it is
2 p.m. Eastern time.
2 p.m. Eastern. And any other for today? I got a few other headlines I'm going to fly over before we let our audience get out of here today. But
I'll give
any
you
other closing thoughts or final words?
I'll give you a quick 1 minute what's to come. So yes, Quit's auditing. We're in our private beta right now. We get to the public beta, and during the public beta, we release a mint called Bugs, which acts as the reward system, which means that if you have a bug and you come and you mint on our platform, you are going to be very happy, because in addition to the mints, there are going to be other perks that you get from the collections. Now, the first collection to do it outside of Unvault is going to be First Class Frenchies, who will be the first collection outside of, again, Bugs and Unvault to mint on our multi-chain minting platform, meaning that you can mint it from whatever chain we support with whatever currency you want and have it delivered to you, right in your wallet, as mints do. Then we'll be launching Blowies, which is a collection of dolphins that want to sneak into Bored Ape Yacht Club. And so they are dressed as apes. And Blowies, when we sell out, will be giving away a mutant. And then the whole point of Blowies, which we'll talk about in a future show, is that part of the royalties go towards buying up the mutant floor and distributing mutants to Blowies holders. And we won't stop until every Blowy holder is snuck into the club in real life. So that's what we have going on. If anybody is interested in the checking out the platform in the private beta, then DM us, either DM me or Unvault, and say Ernest is cool. And if you say that, I'll let you into the private Unvault beta.
There's the password, the secret.
Ernest is cool.
Ernest, any final thoughts, closing words from you today?
On the bug side, Aaron did a good job explaining it. I just want to highlight. So the bug is your frequent flyer card, or it's tied to your profile. And so all of your activity then ties to that bug. But then that bug is tradable. So that bug gets rewards because of all your activity. But those rewards are tied to the bug itself. And so then you can trade that bug. Let's say you minted, like me, way too many NFTs, and you have this bug that's worth a whole bunch of money because it's receiving all rewards on all of the NFTs it ever minted. And so then I can trade that bug out. I can sell that bug to somebody else. They can attach to their profile. They can receive all those rewards and move on. So that's the cool thing about bugs.
And key point, to get those rewards, you must mint a bug. And the ones who mint a bug are the ones that are holding the collections that are working with us, like Heavy Metal, for instance, and Bulls on the Block, and STK, and Alpha Dogs, and Bad Ted Yacht Club, etc., etc.
looking forward to it. Enjoying the updates and appreciate the conversations as well. Ernest, thank you for participating in that industry leader event, and appreciate everyone who is not throwing in the towel, but rather doubling down and doing all that they can to push the space forward. We'll look forward to next Wednesday, and between now and then, as the gentleman mentioned, if you have further questions related to Unvault, drop into one of their upcoming spaces or DM them directly, and we'll continue the conversation.
Come on in. Maybe we'll give away a Bugs Mint spot to somebody.
I'm looking forward to the Bugs experiment as well, and just one of the other areas where appreciate the experimentation on chain and doing things differently, and you got me excited. But yeah, speaking of excitement, I'm going to fly over a few of these items here, and then we'll let everyone get on with their Wednesday. But Aaron and Ernest, thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks, Cap. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you both. I am excited about this momentum and a few things. One on the NFT front, but also on the AI front. If we look at we talked about V1 punks. They got mentioned again today. Up another 26% on the day. Now sitting at 4.09 ETH, and I'm down bad for not picking one up at 1 point, or a couple up at 1.5. I should follow my own advice. Picked up 3, one to flip now, and free roll the other 2, but I didn't, and so now I remain sidelined because I won't buy a pump like this. But if they do pull back, I think I will be very much in the market to buy one. I want to vault at least one. There's 10,000 tokens ran up to 0.15, down 48% on the day as the token launchpad went live. Apes pushing up against 10 ETH again, up 4% on the day. Pudgy's up 5% on the day. Mutants up 3% on the day. Normie's up 12. Pretty green day. This Florentines continue to run up another 41% to 0.11. Hope you were been paying attention not only to Florentines or V1 punks, but the also is not exactly where I was going to go next, but I just saw it. I had a tab open. Congratulations to our guy Dort, who recently won a 1 of 1 raffle from Tiffatron. Big dub there. Congrats. Well deserved. Prominent collector in the space. Also, I know we talked a lot about Wimby yesterday. I thought this was in card collecting. I thought this was pretty cool. The game net from the historic 41.24 rebound performance is going inside a 1 of 1 autograph trading card. That would be one I would be ripping some packs to try to chase down that grail. And regarding these V1 punks, I know we talked about it, but I didn't give proper credit to Jaleel, who was responsible for, he found a Lego smart contract fix for safely trading the broken CryptoPunks without them having to be wrapped, introducing CryptoPunks Market.Sol. And that's part of what's leading this resurgence in V1s. I mentioned the Project X and the cash drop. Not sure what this is, but it sounds to me like some sort of airdrop coming just a couple days from now, May 22nd. That's Friday. So we'll hit on that, I'm sure, later this week. And then regarding that excitement, maybe part of my excitement has to do with Hyperliquid up another 6% on the day. Coffee with Captain Pump is back in full force. Dobbins in the chat a little bit ago said Hyperliquid just broke 50. I had to correct him. It just broke 51. It's been just absolutely ripping up 30% on the week now. A week where Bitcoin's down 3%, ETH down 6%, Solana down 8%. Hyperliquid might flip Solana sooner than later. I've been beating this drum the entire cycle. I was late to Hyperliquid. I did not qualify for the first airdrop. And yet once I realized what was happening, it's been the one token that I've shielded. I'll go count, but I dozens, if not now 100 times in my in real life friend group chat, who mostly talks about stock trading, sometimes horse racing, but and some sports betting on occasion. But I've been beating the drum, telling them that they all need to stack a bag of Hyperliquid, and I don't think it's done with its ascent. That said, just a friendly reminder, not only am I not a financial advisor, if I was a financial advisor, I would tell you to sell rips and buy dips. Don't usually not optimal to be buying something when it's up 30% of the week. It should pull back, should have a correction here or a pullback at some point, but maybe we enter a full bull market and it just keeps going up only from here. But I know at least one person aped into a V1 CryptoPunk yesterday after talking about it. It's never my intent, just sharing thoughts and opinions, and want to be don't be aping in with anything that you can't afford to lose or see go to zero. The White House, I didn't see anyone talking about this other than Zero Hedge. Apparently a breakthrough. White House says strategic Bitcoin reserve announcement is imminent. What will that be? Will it be just moving will they actually be buying? That might be in addition to just the institutions coming in and bringing in retail by way of ETFs. If nation states start stacking Bitcoin for strategic reserves, that could certainly send the market into a frenzy, I would think. And then last but not least, and we'll fly over today, and maybe we can get into a deep dive with Outer and or Bunchu here in the future. I need to do some more deep diving today, but Google turned some heads yesterday. They just shipped their entire 2026 roadmap in one keynote. The highlights here, some bullet points: Gemini 3.5 Flash, new flagship Frontier Brain, agentic. It beats 3.1 Pro. It's 4 times faster. Gemini 3.5 Pro, the bigger one, drops next month. And then Gemini Omni, any input in, editable video out. I'll show you a couple of quick teasers on that, and then we'll get you out of here. But personal Gemini Spark, personal agent that does things across your apps without having to have a Mac Mini. Daily brief, your morning pre-read from Gmail, calendar, and tasks. Neural Expressive, the Gemini app, just got a full redesign. Universal Cart is one agentic cart across Gemini, YouTube, and Gmail. Information agents that search that monitors the web 24/7 for you. Intelligent search box expands as you type real conversations. Search mini apps. AI mode is now fully running on Gemini Flash. Gmail Live, you can just talk to your inbox. Docs Live, write and edit docs by voice. AI Inbox, Gmail organized by AI. Google Keep, speak freely. It cleans it into notes. Google Picks, a brand new AI image and design app. Ask YouTube, search the entire YouTube catalog with answers. Android XR glasses, intelligent eyewear. There's a collaboration with Warby Parker and another glass brand that looked pretty slick. I'll see if I can find a picture. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Anti-Gravity 2.0, the agent first dev platform is upgraded. And then Flow and Flow Music, now standalone mobile apps. Here is some examples of Omni, this is the one again. Any input in, video, editable video out. Omni just drawn from Google DeepMind. It's a big step forward in video generation when it comes to character consistency, world knowledge, and editing. Been testing the last few days. Excited to talk through some of the key features and clips. Not knocking them, but it's not just doodles, but anyone building in like the AI studio world. I've been saying like I think I felt it's a matter of time before these major tech giants release stuff that's just as good, if not better. And this is avatars. Record a clip of yourself. Your face and voice will be saved as a character that you can edit or you can add to any video. This makes it so easy to put yourself in a clip while changing your style and outfit as needed to adopt the scene. These clips here that you're seeing on screen are all from just her avatar. So, I mean, my first thoughts are pretty darn good. I think the cadence, the voice, there's still a little bit of uncanny valley there when you hear the audio. But as far as the image itself and the videos, like incredible to think that just came from one, image, static image and putting into video like that. And the fact that these videos are editable, just pretty wild stuff, pretty big leaps, I think, on that front. And then related, this is I think could be a game changer. I don't even know what might come of this when you talk about gaming or world creation, but you can now simulate real world places by grounding Genie 3 experiences with Street View imagery. Google's sitting on the motherlode of real world data and starting to put it to work. Let's dive into some prompts and locations tested. So basically, the ability to, because of their street image and all the data they have in the for maps and everything else, this is maybe GTA 7 will look more like this than a traditional game, because you could think about GTA, but instead of in their artificially created world, now there's really nothing. I mean, this is a V1 car, an F1 car driving down the Las Vegas Strip. Real world images from the Las Vegas Strip, not created, but real world images from their Street View from Google Maps. This is whizzing around the Palace of Fine Arts as a squirrel riding a scooter. Typical Austin running around Lady Bird Lake. Again, see all the landmarks. You can see the character. The only thing not real is the character. Just pretty incredible. And yeah, it makes me think they better release Grand Theft Auto 6 soon, because if they wait too much longer, I think the technology is going to surpass the game and what they're capable of from a pure video game standpoint. On the flip side, I'll respected voice. I'll quote Zane here. All these silly gimmicky AI video tools release, I've never felt more bullish on real video production and animation. There's a reason Wildwood's movie trailer got 85 million views on YouTube the other day. All handmade animation. Lots of good stuff with AI for sure, but I think more people will gravitate towards handmade stuff as a result. Will feel more special. I agree. I do agree. I think handmade stuff will become increasingly valuable and in demand as it becomes so much easier to create this sort of stuff, leveraging AI. I also think it's going to open up a whole new world of creators, movie producers, animated series. And so while inevitably we'll see a lot more slop, which is going to drive a lot more demand to the handmade stuff, I think you're also going to have, just by pure volume and shots on goal, we're going to see some cool IP, some cool storylines, some cool movies, some cool animated series, because more people are going to be able to take shots now. And what was very much slop, it's just getting so much better, and seemingly it's on a trajectory that's how good is it going to be a year from now? Think of Will Smith eating spaghetti. It's come so far in such a short period of time. It's hard to see that trend not continuing on. And yeah, just like from a cost savings and what I also think those that can do really good handmade stuff today, they're just going to get so much. They're going to be able to, their output is going to increase tenfold, if not 100-fold. They'll take their handmade components and just be more efficient, have lower cost. Maybe the brains, the real creator, the genius behind the IP previously had to work with a team of 100 to get out an animated series. They might be able to do that with themselves now. I think that the from 0 to 1, it just increases so much with these tools and these resources that I think it would actually help. I don't think it's going to eliminate the handmade creators, the OG creators. I think it's going to make them much more powerful and more efficient, more effective, and introduce a lot more of new creators into the world of content creation, of video creation, animation, that previously would have never even got started, because it just seemed like a Herculean task or something they would need to go raise millions of dollars to even get started. That those barriers have been lowered. So I'm excited. I'm here for it. I do need to play around with it more. And I'll leave you with this. I learned 2 things today, at least 2 things, probably more than 2. I learned several things. I did learn that I discovered where Pudgy Penguin got their inspiration from. Piplup, you might have confused if I didn't tell you. You might have said, is that a Pudgy Penguin hoodie? Nope, it's a Piplup hoodie. So I learned who Piplup was today, and the inspiration behind Pudgy Penguins. I also learned that I did not know this. I was very familiar with Howard the Duck. Did not remember it was only rated PG. I also did not know until today that Robin Williams was the original voice of Howard the Duck, and he quit because he quit after only a week out of frustration over syncing his voice to the Duck's animatronic bill. had AI existed back then to the level it does today, we might have gotten a Robin Williams voicing Howard the Duck. He might have not gotten as frustrated if the technology had been better back then. So that's I'm going to leave you all with that nugget to chew on. What could have been if we would have gotten Robin Williams' voice as Howard the Duck? We'll never know, but we might have if we had these AI tools and resources like Google Omni that we have today. With that note, appreciate y'all hanging out. I know we ran a little bit long, 2 days in a row here today. We'll be back tomorrow. I did pin up the link up top. If you haven't yet hit that reminder, would love to see you hit that as we get you out of here today. At least I think I dropped the reminder for tomorrow's show. Maybe it's not up there. We'll be back, same channel as always. And Thursday's link, it's up there. I'll repin it so it's all the way to the left. If you've not yet hit the reminder, we'd appreciate it. It helps the algo, helps get warmed up, and definitely helps with discoverability. And if you're over on YouTube watching us there, appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't yet, smash that like and reminder, and or like and subscribe as we get out of here. We appreciate that as well. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.